Hello and welcome to Confused Reviews, where cartoon drawing reviews movies.
Bless you.
Crossover events are truly one of the most fascinating and lucrative strategies in all of recorded media. It isn't a new concept by any stretch, and once again, the horror genre was instrumental in allowing characters to interact, dating all the way back to the classic Universal monsters and continuing into the 50s monster madness and nuclear nincompoops. But since time is a perfect circle, these mind-manipulating moneymakers have continually ramped up in the last decade. Just a few short years ago, the idea of having Batman and Superman in the same movie seemed outlandish and impossible. Now we've got 3 Spider-Men simultaneously sharing the big screen, and crossover universes so vast they may swallow up cinema whole.
Hey, did you hear they're making Fast and the Furious meets Back to the Future?
So I don't think there's ever been a better opportunity to finally review the movie that served as every slasher fan's biggest wet dream since Joey's waterbed in The Dream Master, yet through some miracle actually exists. The culmination of 17 movies, hundreds of racked up kills, and the legacy and reputation of 2 of the slasher genre's biggest and bloodiest heavyweights. 2003's Freddy vs. Jason. This channel is no stranger to either saga, and now that every movie from both series, aside from the originals and remakes, have been discussed and joked about ad nauseum, how did we get to see Freddy and Jason battle it out on the big screen? Cranking the clocks back to the mid-80s, the initial spark that lit the eventual FvJ flame is hard to pinpoint. Freddy's revenge screenwriter, David Chaskin, claims to have tossed the idea around back in '85, but more well-known was the attempt around the time of The New Blood in 1988, which famously was envisioned as acquainting the 2 limb trimmers. New Line and Paramount wouldn't budge on allowing one studio to simply distribute, while the opposite only licensed the slasher to the other.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
So Friday Part 7 swapped the burnt burden for Diet Carey, and it wouldn't be revisited until Freddy's Dead, along with Jason Takes Manhattan, both caused the killers to fall out of favor with the box office and audiences. 1993. Jason Goes to Hell releases to a resounding
Yeah.
But it did have a very hype-havoning home stretch. Original Friday filmmaker Sean S. Cunningham and, at the time, New Line exec Michael DeLuca fought to get the movie off the ground, along with the insurmountable assistance from Stokely Chaffin. I mean, who couldn't see the potential of this poisonous pairing? The concept is simply too profitable to not execute. Every audience wanted it.
2 for the fictional murder machines stabbing each other, please.
Plus, Freddy's Dead and The Final Friday were about as conclusive in their fruitless finality as a one-lap NASCAR race where all the drivers explode simultaneously. Because there's still a long way to go before the actual movie. In fact, there were a maddening 18 screenwriters culminating in 12 separate visions of the finished film. And reports of potential writers and directors have been falsely reported and rumor-ridden since the idea was publicized. For example, one name I kept seeing thrown in the written ring was director Stephen Norrington, who was never attached. He's even tried to expunge that tidbit from his resume. Too bad he can't remove League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from that list as well.
I like that movie.
No, you don't. But basically, Freddy vs. Jason was so complicated and contrived that continued tinkering of ideas caused ideas and storylines to overlap from writer to writer. Hopefully, I can bring an accurate account of its eventual evolution from page to picture, and then go through what we really got in 2003, as well as reminisce on what could have been, almost was, and what if. first two tangible ideas come from Tom McLaughlin and Adam Marcus. Tom's story suggested that Freddy and Jason were simply personas portrayed by mental patients in an asylum as commentary on horror's effects on the mentally ill. While Adam saw Tommy Jarvis and Nancy Thompson return as Creighton Duke protects them, eventually revealing Freddy and Jay are Hell's assassins, and only one can survive, depending on who can rack up the highest body count of horny teenage souls. Both of these never made it past the conceptual phase. Louis Abernathy wrote Nightmare 13, Freddy Meets Jason in 1993, and this is definitely the most well-known of the bunch. Not only was Louis a third the inspiration for Walter Sobchak,
You think I'm fucking around here, Market Zero?
but initially was endorsed to direct from James Cameron.
Ooh.
The story shows a cult of Freddy fanatics who frantically flail to resurrect the filleted fucker. These Fredheads plan a virgin insemination to free Freddy, so a bundle of teens revive Jason, and its climax is an explosive finale, with the giant cast coming to a head. It's known as Ground Zero for FvJ's development, and few other drafts have the same... Drafts?
It's not a giraffe.
I know, I don't know why. And few other drafts have the same level of creativity and originality. Included was Dream Dope, special flashing sunglasses that's frequency induces dreams in order for the cult to contact Fred. Jason is seen as a sort of anti-hero who's created a sinister secondary character, Captain Murdoch, a murderous police officer hell-bent on killing just about everybody. Jason's rebuilt with barbed wires and steel plates, brought back through electricity and a borrowed boyfriend's heart, because of course it does. Also, it intertwines Freddy and Jason's backstories, having 13-year-old Fred drown Jason. Elias Voorhees would have appeared. The end fight would have taken place in the dream world, showing a boxing ring made of entrails and posts with skulls, featuring a crowd of corpses and zombies, only for Ted Bundy to emerge as the announcer. Lee Harvey Oswald, Adolf Hitler, Eva Braun, and Benito Mussolini are in the audience.
Yeah, give me the old dick twist!
What?
Holy sheep shit on duffel bag, Batman, you see that?
Holy what now?
It's a balanced brawl that finishes with Freddy stomped on and Murdoch with a gun up his ass. Jason is killed in a hail of gunfire, and Freddy's tongue phone returns for a final sting.
Sure.
Brandon Braga and Ronald D. Moore's Jason vs. Freddy begins with a real-life Jason, whom the Friday the 13th movies are based on, being captured and tried for his heinous crimes. A vengeful relative then shoots up the courtroom like an Eazy-E song, and Jay is put under heavy anesthesia and begins dreaming. Freddy uses this as an opportunity to bounce into the real world and cause chaos. It's self-aware, almost to its detriment, and was written just before Scream's postmodern smash hit changed the genre. One scene showed Jay's public defender, Ruby Jarvis, mockingly watching Friday 10, Jason's Greatest Hits and Chops, as a meta-commentary on the silliness of the slasher's rules. Freddy's the only supernatural character, while Jason is simply more superhuman than an impossible zombie ghoul. The climax is Jay teaming up with his psychoneurologist as well as Ruby to defeat Fred in a mall overtaken with a complete Freddy mass hypnosis, tormenting the patrons with an all-encompassing nightmare.
I'd watch it.
Peter Briggs's Freddy vs. Jason followed surviving Jason Goes to Hell characters and the Dream Child's Alice and Jacob as Freddy and Jason are brought back as the world is on the brink of collapse. However, it barely had any actual FvJ and is more like Armageddon with two horror dudes shoved in, blending backstories, and a super out-of-left-field Phantasm Sphere cameo. Also, it had a Satan-esque figure named Thanos in the finale, even ending with a Back to the Future-style erasing of Freddy and Jason at the hands of an FBI agent.
Jesus Christ.
Ethan Reef and Cyrus Voris had initially pitched a more urban version of the story, with the battle happening in a housing project as Freddy finds the Holy Grail in 1994. That was rejected, obviously, and they came back in '96 to submit Freddy vs. Jason, Millennium Massacre. With Freddy stuck in the netherworld, his obsessive cult tries busting him out at the turn of the century. Using elements from Nightmare 13, there still exists the now renamed lead Michelle, along with a superfan with scorched skin, Dominic Necros. A new dream drug called Kane allows for shared dreams, Dom doses the entire state hospital population, and causes a huge shared nightmare. Jason at one point loses his arm and jams a machete into the stump, and the script latches onto the hellbound boxing.
Yeah, same.
David S. Goyer and James Dale Robinson's shot came in 1997, after a teaser using spliced clips from older movies released, and talks with Guillermo del Toro and Peter Jackson came and went. This Freddy vs. Jason served as one of 3 versions stemming from VFX masterclass Rob Bottin's attempted 30-page treatment. Focusing on teenagers visiting Crystal Lake, a new dream drug is tried and shareable dreams are present. Sam is our psychic protagonist who is hunted by a Freddy copycat called Dominic Necros. The group at camp prank each other dressed as Freddy and Jason, and as the weekend progresses, it becomes impossible to decipher reality, dream, or hallucination. It turns out to all be a dream, distorting reality from scene to scene. Wait, Stephen Norrington directed Blade, which David S. Goyer wrote, and Norrington was incorrectly attached to this project for decades. And Goyer did rewrites on the final script that turned into the real movie. My head hurts. Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger dropped in around 1998. This FvJ would have most likely wound up in the same vein as Jason Goes to Hell, with a first-time director and screenwriting duo. The most narratively incoherent version yet, F and J are fictional, Dominic is president.
He's not president!
Dominic is present, new dream drug, etc. How Fred and Jay are fictitious and real is never resolved, but it is supplemented with a fun batch of unique Freddy fodder and Jason jabs. And a strong female lead written better than Laurie from the final film. Freddy is the darkest he's ever been, with next to no wisecracks or jokes. The ending has our final girl, Lizzie, take the dream drug with Jay as they plunge into the dreamscape. Freddy begins drowning Jay in a boiling blob when Lizzie realizes she has power in the dream too, considering it's her dream. Lizzie declares, "This is my nightmare, and in my nightmare, Freddy feels pain." Ugh. Freddy begins to gush blood out of his wounds as Jason transforms into a gigantic rage monster. Jason skewers Freddy with his machete, slowly uttering,
Freddy's dead.
as lightning strikes their remains.
Wow.
Mark Verheiden whipped up Freddy vs. Jason 99, the final and loosest adaptation of Bottin's treatment trilogy. Chosen Girl experiences Freddy dreams, mixes dream drug and booze, Jason is awoken, girl survives, Freddy still caused Jason's demise, blood is shed, wham bam, thank you ma'am.
Okay.
Mark Protasevich was brought on in 2000 and submitted the first entirely original draft for the project in 5 years. Rachel Daniels, a grad student studying monsters and killers throughout history, asks the question, do monsters create mass fear, or does mass fear create monsters? Rachel concludes the killers are dead, but live on through myth and infamy. Yep. After a presentation on the 2 icons, 3 people close to her are slain akin to her subjects' respective styles. Could a copycat be running amok, or are these 2 supernatural shit stirrers somehow doing the slashing? This one does less heart transplants and weird virgin sacrifice shit they tried above, rather a more supernatural approach with the 2 emerging from the ether. Rachel is a more mature, hauntingly beautiful, and insanely intelligent heroine. Amelia and Greta, the first openly lesbian couple in either's repertoire, Rachel's buffoonish boyfriend Jim Turner, and mysterious Australian, Dr. Michael Ezekiel Smith, rounds out the supporting cast. The evil of Freddy is shown to be present throughout history, with a scene showing he's an age-old fear. His burnt bravado is simply the most recent mask.
Metaphorically speaking.
Jason is beyond brutal, with his opening kill having him slash a drug dealer's mouth off, only to pour said drugs down his throat, choking him. Turning to the dealer's coked-out girl, he cuts her gut open and places her crying son into her exposed stomach. Jason is like the Punisher here, where he brutalizes the evil while sparing and even helping the innocent. The aforementioned baby is a key player later on that Jay somewhat tries to protect. Freddy is balanced perfectly, starting scenes with wisecracks only to end with deadly and serious consequences. He appears once as a monstrous mashup of Sigmund Freud, toying with Rachel's psychiatrist using the corpses of her victims that killed themselves.
What's up, Doc? Glad I'm not your patient. Your track record sucks.
The final fight has Freddy pulled down to hell with rotting vines, Jason being fatally wounded, and eventually Freddy turns to nothing. It uses ancient Australian folklore with a guy called the Stranger appearing to guide the characters.
Ooh.
David Bergantino crafted Freddy vs. Jason, Blood Knows Blood, to coincide with Freddy vs. Jason, Hell Unbound, a video game intended to release alongside the long-delayed movie, which was ultimately canned as well. Blood Knows Blood was Bergantino's attempt to take a stab at the movie itself after having read and dismissed almost all of the previous scripts. Freddy's trapped in the dream realm and desperately wants into the real one. The only way to achieve this is to kill off and absorb the dream sperm demons from Freddy's dead, and the only way to do that is through a monumentally high body count. He plans to use a pop star's upcoming concert filled to the brim with people to get the necessary kills to escape. Jacob Johnson, from the Dream Child, can hop in and out of dreams, eventually becoming the only way to stop Krueger. Jacob and the pop star team up to get Jason teed up with Fred, and we even see an Obi-Wan-esque Spectre version of Mrs. Voorhees. The arena, now full, instead watches the fight of said slashers with the fate of the world dependent on its outcome. Just before killing Freddy, Jason utters the 3 titular words.
I'd ass.
No, 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 no.
Blood knows blood.
This is actually my favorite slice at Freddy vs. Jason scripts, and it's a shame that this was the second to last one before pulling the trigger.
Time to wrap it up.
Damian Shannon and Mark Swift reached the finish line in 2002. Finally, we've arrived at the movie that actually got made. Once Jason X flew by with a near unanimous,
What the hell was that?
getting Freddy vs. Jason to theaters became the new top priority to save any goodwill the series had left. Shannon and Swift implemented 8 rules to writing FvJ.
1.
The new story must be in the fictional universes within Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
2.
Remain faithful to established mythologies and cannot be changed for the conflict.
3.
Have a scary and fun tone rather than campy and absurd.
4.
The continuity must be maintained from previous movies.
5.
All human characters must be new.
6.
This new plot needs to come from Freddy and Jason rather than dreams within dreams.
7.
The kills evenly split among the two and feed into their individual strengths and tactics.
8.
The final battle has to take place in both reality and the dream world. Now that the writing was on track, up to 40 directors were dabbled and discussed to do it, until the Bride with White Hair director Ronnie Yu, who originally wanted to turn it down as he had no familiarity with either saga, was brought on after churning out another Bride-based botch job, Bride of Chucky. And his Eastern style and unique point of view shines with his use of a vibrant color palette and impressive visual storytelling, even if the choppy editing and weird frame rate manipulation doesn't translate very well in the final product. He just wanted to ensure a slashing showdown soaked with red sauce. However, Mr. Yu wasn't very interested in working with his actors, with Catherine Isabelle especially speaking out on Yu's insistence to have her go topless, even though her contract specifically said otherwise, leading to what I'm going to coin as a booby double. The plot follows Springwood's mission to hide the legacy of Freddy and redact his existence in the town at all costs, ensuring he'll never return. His next course of action is tricking Jason as his mother and resurrecting him from the bowels of hell. The plan goes tits up when Jason starts doing his own killing without benefiting Krueger. Then they fight a few times.
Because everybody was taking pills so they didn't sleep.
Right, and then he can't do anything.
He can't do nothing. So what they would do is he pretended he was killing people again so people would get scared. And then once people go, oh my God, Freddy's back again, they said, fuck the pills, we're gonna sleep. Now Freddy gets you in the fucking thing.
So sharpen up your machete and dig up your dichromatic dressings as we dive into the scrap of the century, the battle of the bloody bastards, the mayhem of the millennium, the sardonic, sleepy Springwood super slasher versus the carnage-causing, campy Crystal Lake killer. This is Freddy vs. Jason.
Finally.
Whoa, hold it, fellas. You really think we got the budget or manpower for a balls-out, bloody battle? Guess we should leave the frightening fighting to the professionals. Roll the tape. So the film begins with a violent voiceover from Frederick Charles Krueger, played for the 8th and final time by Robert Englund. We take a devilish drive down memory lane, showing how the Springwood slasher got his bladed mojo and love for scrapbooking.
What's that over there?
Krueger is put on unpaid leave. Seems to be on crystal meth, gets this nifty little montage from Freddy and the Fat Boys' greatest hits, conveniently glosses over the goo that gave him these vague abilities that vary from flick to flick, and as he lies trapped in hell monologuing,
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
Apparently nobody remembers him, so he can't return. What? This premise is stupid.
Remember me?
None of Fred's previous victims, including the Elm Street teens, knew about him.
Remember me?
I know his resurrection rules have been inconsistent, but this was never one of them. Would have rather had Kincaid's dog piss bring him back to life.
Remember me?
Why does this seem like the writers saw In the Mouth of Madness and said, yeah, slashers spread like that?
Remember me?
Why in the Fred Figglehorn would bringing Jason Voorhees back to life be the key to fixing Freddy's forgottenness?
Remember me?
Speaking of which, we drop in on Jason Goes to Hell, Electric Boogaloo, with the underworld almost acting as a peaceful purgatory for JV. However, before he swaps the hockey for golf like any true retiree, his mama Pam pops in to get the mission in motion.
Make them remember what fear tastes like!
Funnily enough, they asked Betsy Palmer, the veteran actress who brought so much life and craziness to the original Friday the 13th, if she'd be willing to return. Betsy promptly responded,
Hey, what sort of lines are that? That's nothing for an actress to do, for God's sake.
In addition to Bobby UK clearly returning, there's one Friday alumni that's mysteriously absent, Kane Hodder. Now, every child of Freddy knows England, but Jason is recognized almost as much by Kane's performance. Sure, all the Jasons get the job done, but most imitations, cosplays, and preferences stem from Hodder. All the knives were neatly in place for him to return, too, including the backing of Sean Cunningham, which I found especially odd considering his notes for the 9th movie, but as fate would have it, regardless of fan backing and Hodder's effortless enthusiasm to be involved,
I had planned, in my own mind, I guess, for years to do that movie. I thought they had planned for me to do it as well.
There were still a few mountain-sized hurdles. After Jason X bombed harder than Xenomorph Dynamite, Cunningham was kept at parking lot length from FvJ. Ronnie Yu supposedly wanted a larger, more imposing figure to contrast Robert's height, and, well, most of all, the vast majority of Kane's Jason performances were in movies that were not that loved. The almighty blame finger has been waved around at everyone, from you attempting to make Jason more sympathetic, being the cause for Kane's absence, to faceless studio goons axing the idea.
Called out.
Either way, this angry and menacing powerhouse would have been a perfect match for Fred, and it's hilarious that they canned Kane to juice up the Jaybird, considering he's the only man to play both Freddy and Jason. They instead casted a considerably more stretchy stuntman in the form of a 6'5" Ken Kersinger. You may recognize his mug from being thrown around in Jason Takes Manhattan, as well as picking up a few stunt shots for Kane in the same movie. He's not bad. Anyways, we slice onto Elm Street, reining in on the Rainey residence to see this movie's group of future coffin confiders, Laurie, Kia, and Gib? Played by Monica Keena, Kelly Rowland, and Catherine Isabel. And before you ask, yes, the Destiny's Child Kelly Rowland. Because this was that strange little era of horror where pop and rap stars would randomly be placed in slasher sequels as some quirky side character. Just imagine what could have been under the right circumstances. The trio are having the totally not written by dudes conversation of which members of the Three Stooges they'd bang.
I fucked the ball guy and I married Larry. Jesus, is this what we're doing all night? Cause y'all, this is really stank.
Once again, Shemp is completely forgotten. Blasphemous. Their boys barge in and...
Whoa, babe. Tell you about kissing me after you smoked, huh?
While he acts like a total asshole...
Babe. Babe. Make me ask you twice. Whoa, babe.
The smoking one I can get behind. Things aren't going much better in the living room as Blake, played by David Kopp, really wishes he could cop a feel on Laurie. However, character drama isn't really what either of the titular villains are known for. They are, on the other glove, no stranger to bathrooms, bathtubs, and shower shenanigans. And as Gamma Kappa Cunt, played by Jesse Hutch, pops open a post-bone brew, Jason gives Trey 10 stabs, explaining the importance of abstinence. Even ending the catnap with a crappy chiropractic crunch. This guy is the only kill I can recall where Jason literally gave someone an L.
Loser.
After discovering her vanquished V, Gib and the gang rush out of Laurie's house to find a convenient cop with as many badges as he's got brain cells.
You kids need some assistance?
Did you think it was the classic screaming in agony, covered in blood in the middle of a thunderstorm teenage rave?
You kids need some assistance?
Idiot.
The fuzz flubs and literally says Freddy's name out loud.
It's gotta be him, right? It's gotta be Freddy Krueger. Hey, shut your fucking mouth.
So, like, they still retain his memory. Is Krueger's power like the draft, where you're allowed to remember safely if you're outside of X age range? Why is this the plot again? Since the 911 gave the 411 on Freddy K, unsurprisingly that's all it takes for her doe-eyed glare to spout out the magic word.
Extreme close-up! Wah!
Plunging her into a nightmare. What this one lacks in color, it more than makes up for with missing Munchkin Mona Lisas and this eyeless expository.
His name is Freddy Krueger, and he loves children.
Who at least make way for the jump ropers. Our boy Fred knows the business fundamentals. A consistent brand is important. Back with Blake being a total bitch.
My best friend was just killed, Dad!
And this family is hilarious, considering the dad looks like he's about to peddle fish oil to dismantle the globalist New World Order, and his son looks like he's about to MILF Stifler's mom.
Are you trying to seduce me?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Anyways, his dad goes back to fighting gay frogs as Blake investigates some suspicious bushes, like he's going to find E.T. behind them, instead finding 2 goats.
Jesus.
I thought you said 2 goats.
Bah, bitch.
Freddy tries taking Blake to the Shadow Realm.
Okay, I'm alright.
Guess the phantom fucker needs to wait until his health bar is full before he can do the only thing this character has been able to do consistently for 7 previous movies. Also, why does this CGI look better than the remakes 7 years later?
Not strong enough yet. Sloppy shooting on my part.
Blake blasts awake, and his dad kind of looks like the voice actor for Patrick Star, doesn't he?
I'll have
Hey Blake, what'd the 5 machetes say to the face? Slash! Moving ahead to Weston Hill's Cuckoo's Nest, the same hospital from the best Elm Street movie, we fry up some crazies to complement the Scooby Gang. Mark and Will I Am Institutionalized, played by Brendan Fletcher and Jason Ritter. Now, I'm no stranger to playing the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with actors on this show, but Friday the 13th is a unique case, not only because for once,
Kevin Bacon
actually started his career in one of these stupid damn movies, but moreover, Jason Ritter, not to be confused with Josh Hartnett, also had his dad, John, directed and nailed by Ronnie Yu previously in Bride of Chucky. And I think pretty boy Bill Moseley made the better choice.
Hey, turn that out, man.
That's right, Wes. Shit's pretty fucked out here. Tons of blood, tons of mayhem, and that's only at Applebee's. Over at the old Thompson house, well, another horny teen got stabbed. And get it? It says Kruger. Yeah. Anyways, this is Daniel Daydream. Back to you.
Willy Wonky Mind gets upset that the dickhead orderly won't let him catch the evening news, so Marky Mark and the Fuzzy Bunch hatch a plan where butt cheeks equal keys, and poof, they've escaped.
Imagine that.
I assume his prison wallet did most of the heavy lifting. At the public conformatory, they managed to get less learning done than an episode of Community, coming to a boil with Mark somehow in the school.
He's a child murderer that some parents from around here burned alive. Then he came back.
And this human bulldog keeps groveling at Lori like your average Florida meth head.
Want some free advice? Coffee. Make friends with it.
Good thing Lori faints, otherwise I'm pretty certain Mark was gonna start foaming at the fucking mouth. Kia conks out, contemplating more plastic than a Kardashian colonoscopy.
Got your nose!
Chekhov's nose job.
Do you guys think I should get a nose job? Oh my god.
And this nostril knockin' was half practical, half enhanced for a 100% certified Freddy moment.
Got your nose!
Something smells funny. I knows you don't want any plastic. These stink.
Too bad they totally wuss out on killing Kia. For now. At the library, the basket cases try to mark out the plot, but the paper's inked darker than an SCP's big fat
redacted.
Or blurred out like the FBI, CIA, MIB, TGIF getting away with
redacted.
I mean, what? So yeah, they have a bro talk in a UV-lit shag van, realizing Springwood's futile plan to 15 minutes of fame Fred went about as well as a J. Jonah Jameson pep talk.
He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
That, and we're on, what, movie number 8?
Whack.
That night, in memoriam of the murdered miners, our Children of the Corn respond with a ravenous rave, wherein which Lori is long gone. But I wonder if Kia partook, because then she'd be Kelly Rowland. Also in attendance is Charlie Linderman, played by Christopher Marquette, who is a mixture of Meeks, McLovin, and Max Goof.
Oh, I don't drink.
On the other joint, we dance over to the stereotypical stoner, Bill Freeberg, played by Kyle Labine. Not only does this actor have a vast resume, but come on, the references this guy can toke up is almost unfair. No matter how many neon lights and
random dancing.
Old Billy Bad Timing here discusses the recent slice and dice in front of Trey's Carrie cosplaying chick.
Gotta Trey like a goddamn turkey, man. Like I heard his intestines and shit were just on the floor.
Whoops. So Gib gets gone, pushing ahead into the field to cap her cap, topping it off as Trey's crowning legacy is his relentless noggin jogging.
Come on, let's go.
Okay.
Don't lose your head.
Following in his fried footsteps, the collector here unconsents his way onto Gib, whose red backdrop is a textbook nightmare, and Freddy feels in his element. Just as he tosses up the Uno reverse card on Gibbs' guts, Jason tosses up the +2 double death, a smidge faster.
Oh my god, they were silicone! Oh.
After Jay ganked Gib and flung Danny Phantom into an actual ghost,
She's mine! Mine!
Kruger then realizes this is why you keep your dog on a leash. Jason's carnage continues as he materializes behind these Varsity Blues extras who are as belligerent as bulls around Johnny Knoxville.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jack.
Son of a bitch.
Oh man, does Rick's eye pop look a million times better right now. It's almost embarrassing. Anywho, Shaq, played by Chris Gauther, boofs his buzz and burns Voorhees. Say what you want about Jason maybe sorta being afraid of water, but he sure ain't afraid of fire. He keeps the party lit as he launches Ol' Reliable into the lousy linebacker, as well as going head to severed head with Freddy's fiery fiesta in Freddy's Revenge.
You are all my children now.
Taking out, give or take, 6 to 10 people and a couple gallons of glass sandwiches.
I'm dripping, Thompson! I'm dripping! I'm wet!
Sure, some of these kills aren't gonna make anyone's top 10, but this entire scene is literally dripping with talent. As expected, Kenny K wanted to do this stunt, because look how bitchin' it is. But since they couldn't risk the 6.5-foot slab of Canadian bacon, Glenn Ennis entered the overalls equipped with Nomex and slathered up with every stuntman's slippery savior. Ennis really did this fire walk for us, and it's a memorable, if not improvable, sequence. Moving ahead in their patented victim van, Will finally fills Laurie in on the reasoning for his residency in the loony bin. Will saw Laurie's dad kill her mom.
Wow.
Yeah. Coincidentally, her pop pops in to remind me once again of Bride of Chucky.
No! No way! You can't trust him, Laurie. Whatever you do, don't go home with him.
You fuck. But you won't.
Wonder what other Chucky content Ronnie almost put in here. Some stormy melodrama between Laurie and Dr. Campbell, played by Tom Butler, is really badly performed and shot.
Oh my god. So you knew about Will this whole time?
So, swiping ahead to the mark in the mirror.
Thelonious. You were saying?
He's so rudely reminded of his brother Bobby the bathroom boy, who Freddy would have you think Hannah Bakered himself long ago.
Oh, that's right! Everyone forgot!
Holy fudge, it's Scott Farkas!
He had yellow eyes, so help me God, yellow eyes.
Zach Ward is both insanely close to his brother, but I could see him pass for a young Freddy. Unfortunately, Ralphie isn't here to shoot Mark's eye out, as his sleepy situation goes from bad to barbecue quickly. And Freddy sends his message via Outback Slain House.
Who is writing this? You're doing this. This is your life.
Dropping into Eric Foreman's basement, it not only makes me realize Freeberg looks like every That 70s Show character put together, but brings in the shadowy return of the dangerously stupid Deputy Stubbs, played by Lachlan Monroe. Stubbs may have also been his character's name in Scary Movie, if you know what I mean.
This isn't funny, alright? A small dick's like a disability, man! How would you make fun of a guy in a wheelchair, huh?
The rookie retells the story of Jason Voorhees for the trillionth time, missing the charm of a campfire story, and most disgusting is the clunky exposition the movie just dumps onto your face. That's because, in addition to the galaxy of shit that went into writing Freddy vs. Jason previously, I purposely left out that Shannon and Swift's script would have run the movie around 2.5 hours. So, of course, that meant David S. Goyer was brought in to take a saw to the story with some script shaving and really just streamline this shit.
Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that?
We gotta get them fighting. Let's go! As she unfortunately falls asleep, Freddy fires off another flamer.
Your eyes say no, but my mouth says yes, yes.
Leaving him open for Laurie to leave with his lobe in a Mike Tyson classic.
He'll take no nonsense.
It was bullshit. It's gonna cost him 2 points.
And they ascertain he can be drug out of his home turf as his ear morphs into the Lost Boys' Chinese dinner.
You're eating maggots, how do they taste?
Oh, and speaking of drugs, they conclude Hypnosil, the same dream suppressant supplement from Dream Warriors, is the answer to their haziness, and set off for the hospital Will and Mark recently departed. Most of our characters are searching for the sauce, meanwhile Jason's off crushing security guards and Freeberg holds back for a joint juncture.
You mind if I do it, Jay?
What the fuck?
This green-gassed graboid is such an out-of-the-box idea that may be a reference to the snake in Dream Warriors. Also, good thing he's in tune with his mental state. This could have gone sour quick.
Man, I don't know what to think no more, man.
Okay, what's the de-escalate? Don't mess with your head.
Get out of me,
Don't mess with your head.
Get out of me, head.
It serves as a perfect what the fuck moment to experience when showing this to people for the first time. The reaction is always amazing. Our clouded cunt finds the Hypnosil, but Freddy decides to take matters into his own flippers and shoots the slug into the druggie's throat. Weird that Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy's Revenge both keep happening in this movie. So Freddy Got Freeberg commences as he ditches the dope in what is in the running for funniest out-of-context movie clip.
Dude, no! Dude!
And Jay Swizzle fries this stubby piggy into bacon as retaliation for Riverdale, and confirms Jason is basically a Sith Lord when it comes to harnessing electricity. I mean, let's analyze this further. This Rent-A-Cop-looking doofy duplicate pops into what looks like Homer's job at the power plant with this little goofball, only to see what appears to be a burnout's change of heart as he drains bottles of Viagra. Then, the nerd rifles through 40 emotions in 3 seconds, which is hysterical, dude.
Dude, no! Dude!
Only for a giant, hockey-masked maniac to electrocute himself and the cop.
Dude, no! Dude!
What the fuck even was that? B+ scene overall. The crew decides to dash, with the possessed pothead breaking out his secret syringed weapon, horse trankies. However, Jason rebuts by being blunt. Listen, I know there's a list of at least a dozen visually confirmed ways Jason hasn't been able to be put down. But I guess this flick informs me all I need is a Dwight Schrute loot crate.
For a threat to be credible, you have...
Holy
No, you didn't.
The balance of awesome to awful with that one kill is razor thin. Whoa, hold up. Wait a minute. Am I in a fucking nightmare?
Hold up.
You are like a big super dog who can't stop eating!
At a measly hour in, we finally get the promised title as Freddy taunts and tricks Jay, and it's undeniably outstanding. The Ready Daddy Daydream works in Fred's favor, regardless of Voorhees refusing to vanquish. Nonsensical, mind-numbing movie fluff. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Welcome to my nightmare.
At one swipe of the color wheel, we discover that Jason Voorhees is in fact weary of water.
So you are afraid of something after all.
Now, as much as I'd love to watch from the sidelines as the pitchforked masses tar and feather Shannon and Swift for the next century for including a plot point so idiotic, I've got a few things to say.
1.
Both first mates of the SS Hack have disavowed any inkling that they say Jason hates H2O.
I just want to put the record straight. We never said that Jason was afraid of water. We never wrote that. That was not in our script.
That was not in our screenplay. That came afterwards. That was in a rewrite.
2.
We've seen the buoyant mama's boy swim on multiple occasions.
3.
I'll turn the laser sights onto me because I'll play devil's advocate and say it's meant more as a psychic scare of drowning, and not necessarily swimming or whatever. We're meant to believe we're in Jay's head after all, even cutting into his memories. However, it is way funnier if they thought Freddy equal fire, Jason equal water.
How can we use that?
Freddy reduces Jay to the cryptid Caillou from his youth, plus Jimmy Neutroning into his slow-motion memory bank. At the same time, the teens try to wake up the Jayinator, opting to send Lori in to get him instead. She's dumber than a bag of hair. Sucks she's the only virgin present. Aside from your punk ass. Lori lands smack dab in the middle of Crystal Lake during the 1950s, aka George McFly's prime.
He's a peeping Tom.
A noticeably chunkier young Voorhees is being bullied by the future of America, and I think we all know the outcome by now. Although, I'm sure Freddy being a necrophiliac was left out of the Fireside Fables.
It's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet.
So, was Freddy really there for Jason's death, and doing that to some poor corpse? Not cool, man. And before we go any longer, I want to finally address the insanely bizarre filming and editing choice. This choppy fucking frame rate shit. It's such a strange presentation that's most prominent in this scene that I'm not really sure what it's for. It doesn't make it scarier. If anything, it's the cinematic equivalent to the worst kind of haunted houses, where it's 95% fog machines and strobe lights to where you can barely even see what's going on. Are we sure giving this monumental matchup to a director that didn't know anything about either of them was a good idea? Anyways, Kruger sinks the big lug, causing him to overload on water in the van, so they consider performing mouth to mask.
Oh, man.
Holy mother of standards. It seems like even the movie decided that was going too far, jolting Jay awake and literally removing him from this XXX-bound excrement. Speaking of being viciously upset, Freddy now has no reason to show off his 3-minute lung capacity, blasting out of the water like a total badass.
Superhero landing!
I dig this transformation that, to me, reads as Freddy's true evil seeping out more than his normal crispy appearance. Big shout out to Bill Terazakis for sculpting one of my favorite Freddy faces. This frame is also beyond fantastic. What's not so fantastic is Lori being kinda stuck in Freddy's domain, leading to the mildly interesting case of her mom's murder being solved. Was it her dad? Was it Will? Was it other Will? Was it Jada?
Oh, wow!
No, it was Freddy.
I've always had a thing for the whores that live in this house.
Lori's lemmings get them to Crystal Lake, complete with their calm, welcoming committee. And the clumsy killer causes a fire, helping revive Lori with Kruger as a bonus. So with their second bout mere moments away, Jason scans the arena, concluding,
"It appears that the vitals of this lucky son of a gun remain unpunctured."
Throwing Linderman at the cabin cutter, he and Kia get out, and the bell is rung. The only thing that could ruin this perfect moment would be some stupid one-liner from our human meat puppets.
Freddy versus Jason. Place your bets.
Thankfully, this terrible, god-awful, no-good, very bad line that was seen in trailers and promos was removed at the hands of the most unlikely of sources: test screenings. FvJ's premature screenings actually did the movie a solid, which almost makes them square for ruining countless movies. The two duke it out in a sequence so awesome and crowd-pleasing, the only thing it's missing is the Mortal Kombat slasher character select screen. They all bail out of the burning building. Linderman is now a layingman, laying dead, so Kia selflessly shits on the sweater-sweating swine.
How sweet. Dark.
Calling Freddy softer than a wet Q-tip made of cotton candy.
Maybe coming up a little short there between the legs.
Oh! the hell, Jay? This gal almost gave you mouth to mouth, even though he looks like he hasn't used a toothbrush since the tool was invented, and defended Jay's Jock Johnson joystick.
You got these teensy-weensy little things, and Jason has got this big old thing like...
And he still killed her. Not a fan of Dilemma, huh?
What kind of faggot?
Oh, no, wait! Just kidding. The Elm Street franchise canceled itself long ago. Roaring into the end, they go full street brawl and wrestler with a mix of slapstick, slash stick, and enough tit for tat to satisfy both camps. I don't care what anyone says, this part of the movie is wicked. They slide onto the dock, stabbing over and over again until Jason imitates Halloween 2 Michael Myers with less fingers, Freddy gets fingered and loses his fapping arm, and as he turns the blade on the beast, they all go boom. Oh, right, there's more. Will and Laurie think they're safe, but a faceless figure returns with a machete. It's Freddy. But Jason says, fine, I'll use your weapon too, bitch. And Laurie gets the final zinger. Yippee.
Welcome to my world, bitch!
This may be unintentional, but seeing Freddy defeated by the same deadly decapitation Jason's mom faced in the original mere hours after he used Alice's tactic of mother manipulation to put him out of his rotting retirement is killer irony. You may be predicting that this is the finale, but you'd be forgetting Will and Laurie, whose romance has been blossoming silently in the background, because, well, it's about as engaging as a soap opera SNL sketch.
Can you get my letters?
What letters?
They must have never even mailed them.
But fuck all that, the more impressing end tease is this. Okay, for starters, the writers and crew had little to no idea how to end this movie. They shot and almost went with another Freddy's Revenge-inspired climax, with a Fredicized Will sporting the claws and killing Laurie. But that sucked, and the test audiences hated it. Other notable ideas were Pinhead from the Hellraiser saga surfacing to ask, "What seems to be the problem, gentlemen?" But New Line, nor Paramount, or any relevant studio close to this production owned the Cenobites, so that was out. At one stage was a cameo from Satan himself, even though I thought that was what they intended Freddy to be, in a sense. Excluding all of that, and best of all, was the planned appearance in the end, or a sequel, from the boomstick-boasting Ashley J. Williams.
Groovy.
And this actually got further along than any of these other endings or FvJ sequel pitches. We did end up getting that in comic form, but that's getting a bit out of my lane.
Hey.
Oh well, once all of those endings were nixed, carrying Freddy's decapitated dome was the agreed sting. But Ken Kurtzinger wasn't around, so they brought in the third, that we know of, actor for the Jason role in the shoes of Doug Tate. There's no question that Freddy was of course Rob once again, even in green screen, and even more in the uncertainty of the winner. My money's on Jason. He's the most put together, at least in terms of muscle. And that was Freddy vs. Jason, and I think I'll always have mixed feelings about it. On the one side, it's, for the most part, a poorly acted, oddly paced movie with a strange storyline and script. But then flipping the coin over Harvey Dent style, I can't help but admire the fact that this movie exists at all. Having directed Bride of Chucky, I think Ronnie Yu brought a much better product to the table than his previous slasher sequel.
At the end, with the set piece, we involve with all different special effects like fire, water, wind, smoke, explosions.
And as far as acting goes, Laurie's look only flips between utter confusion and full-on retardation. Will always sounds like his gums are numb from the dentist.
No, that's what he wanted you to believe, but I was there, Laurie.
And everyone else is just unlikable.
Babe, you know I don't like to be touched that hard, okay?
Yet, that mean-spiritedness is oddly absent from our Slash Street boys, who's kept rather fun until the very end. The script suffers, even with the supposed balanced butchering. It only has Freddy killing a few as opposed to Jason's 20-plus count. Jason is not afraid of water. Rather, Yu's execution shows that instead of Freddy's toying with the symbolic nature of water, it can be seen as him being scared of water. The rules that Shannon and Swift attempted to stick to while writing this movie were, for the most part, stuck to.
While Elm Street is said to be located in the fictional town of Springwood, Ohio, Crystal Lake is approximately 600 miles away in rural New Jersey.
The all-new characters while having Mrs. Voorhees is fine, but Jason potentially being created by Freddy would have made an interesting dynamic to explore more. It's not officially stated that that's what happened, but a student versus master conflict could have been neat. And through all of the shit I've said, comparisons and counter ideas I've relayed, seeing these two together on screen, fighting with all of they got, is so incredibly fun for me that I don't really give a shit about the negatives of this movie. I just wish this flick's runaway success would have allowed for more of this stuff to happen. Bloody mayhem to satisfy the curiosity of fans and audiences alike. So much hard work and passion was poured into this puppy, and it delivered on the one thing I wanted from it. Freddy versus Jason. Not once, but multiple jaw-dropping battles that I still get a huge, goofy grin on my face every single viewing. The music is good, stunts kick ass, and it left me wanting many more like it, even if we probably won't. I'm going to give Freddy vs. Jason There you go. I finally said everything I wanted to about Freddy vs. Jason.
Only one problem with that.
What do you mean?
This has all been a dream.
Motherfuck! I'm Confused Reviews. Welcome to Season 5, and thanks for watching. Whoa, hold it, fellas. Oh, that sucked. Oh, I don't have the glove on.
Marvel.
What are we doing? Time.
Literally just crossed 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Fuck.